Hello, my name is Vivian Castellanos, and for my presentation today, I will be talking about psychology history. Psychology has made an impact on society and has contributed to so many new findings and theories throughout the years. It ranges from topics of human behavior to child development, mental processes, to so many more. Psychology has rooted from ancient philosophers who've made significant contributions in the 19th century. They began to include structuralism, functionalism, psychoanalysis, behaviorism, and humanistic psychology. The new discoveries in psychology have been from so many special psychologists such as Sigmund Freud, Anna Freud, Mary Winton Calkins, John B. Watson, and many more successful theorists. Psychology is a subject that ranges from many topics, looking at either the human behavior, mental processes, or the cultural level. It studies human issues that begins from even before birth to after, and psychology provides the history of gaining better understanding on these topics and how they are being studied, which is why so many psychologists have came to discover any new methods or any solutions to any inner problems. Some psychologists even suggest taking holistic medicine. There has been some positive benefits to that. It could just help soothe or relax somebody and not have them so stressed. The way that structuralism works is that human consciousness could be broken down into smaller parts, meaning that they would try to inspect the way certain subjects break down into your brain and what most basic sensation and perceptions they give. Moving on to functionalism. Functionalism is more about how behavior actually works to help people live in their environment. So what methods they use, the observation to study how the human mind and behavior works in that type of environment. The way psychoanalysis works is basically the patient suffering from anything from their early childhood, any experiences that have caused trauma. Unconscious impulses contributed to the development of adult personality and behavior, which to both child and adult mental processes are totally different. Children can be affected by this even before birth, and this can be caused by any traumatic experiences. Moving on to the two psychologist women that have caught my attention. Mary Winton Calkins. Mary Calkins was born in Hatchford, Connecticut on March 30th, 1863. She was the oldest of 5 children and was raised in Buffalo, New York until the age of 17. She attended a great amount of schools and became a Greek tutor at Wellesley College. After she had graduated soon, she returned to become a psychology professor. But before this, unfortunately, her family had suffered a loss. It was her younger sister, and she sadly passed away, which caused her family to move to Europe, which she had furthered her studies in. After becoming a tutor, she had begun to take a year studies in psychology, and she enrolled for her degree with Harvard. Although she wanted to pursue her career at Harvard, they weren't accepting any females to enroll. So she had to face many challenges and go through many classes to be in the position that she is in. Calkins established the first lab dedicated to the study of psychology at the Wellesley College and was granted honorary degree from Columbia University. I think she gave such a major contribution to the school because not only did she open up doors for many students, but she also showed women that regardless of your gender, you still can achieve your goals, and it doesn't matter if you still fail to get into a certain college. She still managed to work her way to the top and gave students an opportunity to see what experimental psychology classes should be about and discover what theories they would like to make. Calkins had identified psychology, the study of the conscious organism, focusing on the subject, the object, and the relationship between the two. Calkins also includes the importance of experiencing the self in its environment and social role of the self. So how the human acts in their own environment or with someone else, how their mental process and their behavior changes. Unfortunately, in 1930, she did pass away from cancer in Hatchford, Connecticut, where she was born. Moving on to Anna Freud. Anna Freud had caught my attention because she developed something that is definitely used every single day. It has helped and create a better environment for children, and I think that it's a great big impact on society. Anna Freud was born on December 3rd, 1895 in Vienna. She was the youngest daughter of Sigmund Freud. Following in his footsteps of psychoanalytic theory, she also made a significant contribution to child psychology. Her father, like I said, was Sigmund Freud. He was known for inventing and developing the techniques of psychoanalysis. After high school, she began to work as an elementary teacher, and translating her father's work from German, she began to become interested in his work and start expanding her ideas. In 1938, both father and daughter had escaped from Austria and moved to London, where she began her career in helping families or children who suffered from World War II. Freud's influence from the nurseries were heavy on her, seeing with missing families or the war leaving traumatic impacts on them were made heavily. In 1942, Anna formed the Hampstead Nursery that served as a psychoanalytic program and shelter for the homeless and children. Anna had experienced children that were heavily traumatized from this war. Some of them were left alone without families. Some of them did have families. It was all different, but everybody was suffering from all of the damage and chaos that was going on. Anna had all the nurses around her help her and support these families and children and give them what they need, which is how she had begun her study into child development, leading to discoveries that she has made about child mental processes and the way they receive trauma differently from adults. Moving on back to Mary. As I mentioned earlier, although Mary had faced many obstacles, she was turned away from schools because of her gender, but she still managed to contribute a lab for every student who wanted to further their knowledge in psychology. This has helped so many people, like I said, and not only has her work been influential, but she also has made many researches, such as the Dreamers research. She had pursued it to see how relationships between the dream life and the waking life are, and how the mind works whenever you are dreaming versus when you are awake. All the individual senses come to your brain versus when you're asleep and what the difference is. Calkins was the first generation of American psychologists, and she served as the first female president of the American Psychology Association in 1918. After completing the courses for her doctoral, she stood against discrimination for women, giving them the same opportunity as men in the field of psychology. She has contributed to society in race, in discrimination. She took a stand to show that regardless, like I said, of your gender, you can still earn all these honorary certificates regardless if you have been turned away. Calkins' work consisted of publishing her life philosophical way called The Persistent Problems of Philosophy and the Good and the Good. Lastly, Anna was recognized for being the world's foremost psychoanalyst, along with the founder of child psychoanalysis. Freud expanded her father's theories and identified them as the types of defense mechanism. She provided a book called The Ego Mechanisms of Defense, and the explanation for these expressions were defense mechanisms such as denial, repression, and suppression, which were used every day. The contributions she created was the field of child psychology, developing different techniques to treat children. During this time, she would see the different mental behavior that children would have before they were born or after, which is why she kept pursuing her father's theories, and she would shy away from his spotlight because she wanted to continue his research and further his theories. Freud's understanding was children's symptoms differ from adults, often related to developmental stages. Anna had went on to recognize the different mood or the behavior that a child would have towards certain objects or any experiences. She would take note and see how children would react differently to certain things. Not only has this research, I think, helped many parents, but it's also brought awareness to children, and it's recognized these problems, and she has came up with many solutions to fix these types of problems. Like I said in the beginning, many of these women have made a significant impact in society today, and I think they continued to carry on their theories, and it still lives on till this day.